Okay, you're feeling it? I have so many notes.
Me too.
I had to send
I have
myself.
never.
I had to send myself voice recordings, and then I transcribed them in Microsoft Word because I was like, I have things to say.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages of notes. I have never. It is a simultaneously like triggering and healing experience at the same time.
100%.
Never have I been on such a for a 3-hour book. Anyway, I am both incredibly appreciative and have serious beef with the person who recommended this book to me.
Correct.
Anyway,
Welcome back, guys. We are very excited to be here today on today's episode. It's been a bit of a wild week, but I will say that today's episode is going to be very interesting. We have How to Keep House While Drowning. And it's by Casey Davis. I don't know what LPC stands for, but we'll pretend that I'm educated. And it's exactly like Erika said, simultaneously healing because I feel heard, I feel understood, I feel understood, like that. There's no other word for me to say it. But then at the same time, this I think it's the author also that narrates the audiobook, and she says this book, or she says, is your blood pressure high? Do you feel offended? And something else, like, in this moment. And I was like, yes, bitch. And she's like, okay, this book is for you. And I'm like, fuck. Like, shit.
Yes.
God.
Rude.
But before we get into that, let's also remember, guys, like, we've launched Discord. We've got our book club. We've got merch. Christmas is coming. Like, you know, those December order timeframes are going to be cut off kind of soon. So please check out the link tree. And then if you want to join our Discord server, I'm more than happy to get you guys rolling and roll into some of that stuff. So I'm pretty pumped about everything that we've launched this month so far, because it has been exciting, and getting back into weekly episodes and all of that happy jazz. Like, I'm pumped to be here. So anyway, how has your week been?
We totally have not done the intro yet.
Oh, I thought that was, Hi. I did say welcome back. I did say welcome back. Cool.
Okay. Whew. I'm Sarah. Or fuck.
And I'm Erika. Why?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh.
And we are Living Understaffed, the podcast about not having enough hours or hands, and when your best
is not very good.
Please keep that in.
Well, we have to now. Oh my God. That was like, do you remember the episode, like, first couple that we recorded, like, in March, that I thought I had lost? And then I was like, we have to re-record, and then I found him. But I called you Eric. And I was like, Eric, which...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you were like, Erika.
Oh my God. So
I'm sorry, I forgot. We're gonna have to change your name to Ra.
That's correct. Oh my God. I loved that video so much. What was the Sarah Racha sauce? And I was like, you can call me that. I like spicy.
You know who sent me that?
Who?
Abby.
Oh,
Abby. Yeah, she sent it to me, and she was like, she sent it to me, and then I immediately sent it to you. So I thought that was really sweet. Because she is the most thoughtful person in the world, in that she She has never actually formally met you, and she still like knows that you spell your name with an H, and like saw that and was like, oh, I know someone whose name is spelled with an H. She is the nicest person. She is the nicest person. If anyone ever comes up to me and is like, yeah, Abby's kind of, I will
Murder.
like,
Murder.
yes, she is a sweet baby angel.
I cannot. Well, I appreciate it a lot, Abby. Thank you so much.
But how have you been understaffed this week?
Okay. Let's preface my ranting with the fact that we don't get paid for this podcast and we don't have enough time in the day for me to tell you about how understaffed my week is. Secondly, very understaffed. I leave tonight, 3 a.m. So it's 3:00 p.m. in the afternoon. I leave at 3 a.m. from a hotel in town to be on the shuttle to go to the airport with this group of students to DC. Tomorrow is going to be like, with travel hours, is going to be like an 18-hour day. And we're working tomorrow, like working. So today alone, I have gone to work already for a couple of hours. I went out to the old house that I used to live in, because I still, unfortunately, have things living there that I still need to like finish moving into my new house. We won't even talk about that right now because I just can't. I was out there, came back through and grabbed Sonic because I need a Red Bull charger because I know that the rest of today is going to be crazy. I still have to finish laundry. I still have to finish packing. There's also like specific events in this trip that I need to be outfit appropriate for. And then also, we did talk a little bit about it last week, but the great first date from a couple weeks ago has since fizzled. And I'm in like this weird man-hating era this week that I'm like, all men suck. All men are terrible. And I don't give a shit about the men that are like, not all men. No. Right now, in this fucking moment, all men are awful. And you can't change my mind on it. I'm so like frustrated with dating in not necessarily just in 2024, but like, when did it become socially acceptable to just ghost someone? Like, why is it socially acceptable to? I just don't understand. And I know, and again, I'm in my man-hating era right now. So if someone were to come up to me and be like, oh, the common denominator is you, I am a fucking delight. I am wonderful. I have my flaws 100%, but I have my shit together. I'm financially okay. All of my bills are caught up. I have low debt. What else do you want from me? Like, I work my ass off. I have multiple jobs. I have a retirement plan. I have all of these beautiful, wonderful things that like, I don't have to depend on anybody for. Yes, I'm the common denominator, but I am not the only problem here. So before you come at me, I'm in my man-hating era. So on top of all of those things, this week has been wildly overwhelming, but I am fueled by rage. So come at me. Like, I'm ready to fight.
And you also forgot to do one of your eyebrows.
That's correct. I woke up this morning in a panic. I was very anxious, and I got up and I was like, I'm just going to go to work for a couple of hours and knock out the things that I like didn't get time to do this week. And I came back. I went through Sonic. I had seen multiple people. I had seen people at work. I had seen probably 20 plus people that I know today. And I came back, and I don't know why. I think I went to the restroom. I don't know how I like saw my eyebrows, but I get on the recording to like have a chat with Erika ahead of time, like we always do. And you look at my eyebrows, and my right eyebrow was filled in. It was appropriate. It was good to go. And this one I hadn't even touched, my left eyebrow. So you're telling me that I came into contact with how many people today, and not a single one of them was like, why do your eyebrows look weird? Like, can we just discuss that on a human level, that if you I don't care if I don't know a single thing about you. I don't care if I'm in another country. I don't care if I'm in another city and I know you or I don't know you. But if you have a booger on your face, I'm going to tell you. If you have
Yeah.
a wonky eyelash that's like poking you in the eye and I can see you like rubbing your eye and you can't figure out I'm going to help you. I'm going to tell you. There are people that I will be standing in a in a coffee line and they have a sweatshirt on and they have a dog hair or a fucking fuzzy or something. I'll be like, "Hey, I'm just going to grab this dog hair off your sweatshirt." Like I am that person and I expect that on a basic human level from the population of the world. I expect that from us because we're not monsters. Most people are not monsters. And the fact that not only did I come into contact today with people that I know and I regularly interact with, but people that I would consider to be my friend, and I had one eyebrow drawn on today. One singular eyebrow, not a unibrow, the right eyebrow. Are you serious? Like, I need better friends, clearly.
I mean, I don't mean to pat myself on the back too much, but I would tell you.
Thank you. I would agree with that. I would agree that you would tell me that.
Yes.
I'm very disappointed. So, Erika got a good laugh out of it because I was like, "Excuse me, ma'am. I need to go finish doing my makeup that I didn't finish this morning." And she laughed. Yeah.
Oh,
How was your week?
busy, sleep deprived. You know, Rocky has been a menace. So there have been a few times where I walk into the kitchen and everything that was on the counter was on the floor. Or I meal prepped on Wednesday because I didn't do it on Sunday or Monday or Tuesday. So I meal prepped on Wednesday and I took a phone call in the other room and I came back and Rocky had knocked it off the counter and onto the floor and was eating it like oven hot still, just chowing down. Now, bless his heart, he doesn't have brains. He actually just has gummy worms. He's doing his best. However, I was not about to make dinner again, so I took myself to Freddy's. But yeah, I was like, I'm not doing this all. I'm not doing this. Absolutely not.
I would be upset about that as well.
So it's just, and then, one of the people that I work with is out on maternity leave, so covering down for her, which is doable.
Sure.
And it's fine. And she definitely has success. However, it's just still more work. And then we have a lot of events coming up. So planning for those. And all just like, I wish I have done a lot of things in my life, being admin, but also being a coordinator and all of those things where your job is to track things that are coming. And I am always surprised. Every time I'm like, when did this happen? It's like, bitch, you made it happen, actually.
You were the one that coordinated it, hoe bag. Hello.
Yes. So that's part of it. Like I know there are more things that happened this week, and I just do not remember what they were. Yeah.
One thing that I'm kind of figuring out is like, we talked about this a few weeks ago, but I feel like I'm coming back to that point where like things are manageable and things are going well, which absolutely plays into today's topic of this book because it's great because it's a really good thing and I'm glad to be hearing the things that I'm hearing, but it's also quite triggering where I'm like, wow, like I have not been accepted either in my relationships or my social circle or my family for years because this is how my brain works. I'm like, Jesus. And granted, this type of research, this type of book wasn't available 20 years ago when I was living at home or whatever, so I get it. But one thing that I think, I don't know if it would be considered a trauma response or if it's just like a way of coping, a way of like survival, a survival tool that my brain has created. But when weeks are particularly overwhelming, or like, for example, this week I worked the full week just trying to prep because I won't be in the office all next week. So I want to make sure that my team is set up for success. I put a lot of pressure on myself. And so at the end of the day, I go either to Starbucks or I come to my house and I work on podcast stuff because that's my routine and that's what I love and I love doing it. But then once I get there and I'm working on stuff, I completely brain dump the whole day. And it takes me a minute the next day to be like, what did I do? Like what? And I have to like look at all of my notes from the day before. And because I take pretty rigorous notes on my day-to-day activity at work because I don't know if anybody knows anything about government rating systems, but you have to somehow quantify your job. And so I am an absolute freak in the sheets, aka Excel spreadsheets, and I track literally everything I do, down to the number of documents that I touch in a day. Like, I don't fuck around with that. That being said, I have to relook at my notes from the day before to be like, what are we doing? I don't know. I don't know. I really don't. So, I don't know if that's a trauma response or not, but all of that absolutely plays into today's book.
Yeah. This book is essentially how to keep house while you're drowning, but it's also essentially like how to maintain when you're severely understaffed, which is
this entire show.
Very. Yes. I also kind of wanted to bring up, I don't know if you've seen it. One of my friends who does have kids brought it up. The 17 diapers thing. I know there's some kind of controversy about the person that started it, but essentially she has a newborn and I think she had like another kid and she walked around her house and she found 17 diapers that she had changed and just left on the floor because she just did not have the energy to get up and throw it away or whatever. And like, as a person, like I have been a foster parent, I have had children in diapers, can relate. And there were a lot of people who were like, you're just lazy. Or like, you should call CPS. Like, first of all, having dealt with CPS, that's not how it works. Secondly, can we acknowledge the fact that that baby had been changed 17 times in like 24 hours?
Yes. Can we talk about that?
Like,
yes.
And then when she had, yeah. So, and in the book, she sort of goes over it, but I wanted to sort of tie that in because I don't think people realize how much that is actually normal and how we really don't need to be beating ourselves and each other up about it.
Yeah.
Like, it is okay to have a messy house. You are not a bad person.
Welcome to Shatsunami, a variety podcast that discusses topics from gaming and films to anime and general interests.
Previously on Shatsunami, we've analysed what makes a good horror game, conducted a retrospective on Pierce Brosnan's run as James Bond, and listened to us take deep dives into both the Sonic and Halo franchises.
Also, if you're an anime fan, then don't forget to check us out on our sub-series, Chatsunani, where we dive into the world of anime. So far, we've reviewed things like Death Note, Princess Mononoke, and the hit Beyblade series.
If that's sounds like your cup of tea, then you can check us out on Spotify, iTunes, and all good podcast apps.
As always, stay safe,
stay awesome, and most importantly,
stay hydrated.
Yes. So I'm going to read the book description and then we'll get started with the topics that you want to roll into because I have comments on literally everything and then the notes that I took, like I'm going to be scrolling through my phone. But the description, so it says that it's highly rated for listeners highly rated by listeners for validating struggles, compassionate guidance, soothing voice, practical strategies, and neurodivergent perspective. So I really loved that just because it was summary. It is an NPR Best Book of 2022, which is great. And then of course it's a USA Today bestseller, also great. So like recommendation wise, I'm in. That's fine. This is what it says. This revolutionary approach to cleaning and organizing helps free you from feeling ashamed or overwhelmed by a messy home, which is my life. Cool. So already I'm like, great. If you're struggling to stay on top of your to-do list, you probably have a good reason. Anxiety, fatigue, depression, ADHD, or lack of support. Or all of the above, if we're being honest. For therapist Casey Davis, the birth of her second child triggered a stress mess cycle. The more behind she felt, the less motivated she was to start. She didn't fold a single piece of laundry for 7 months. 7 months. Wow, I cannot read today. One life-changing realization restored her sanity and the functionality of her home. You do not work for your home works for you. In other words, messiness is not a moral failing. A new sense of calm washed over her as she let go of the shame-based messaging that interpreted a pile of laundry as I can never keep up and a chaotic kitchen as I'm a bad mother. Instead, she looked at unwashed clothes and thought, I am alive, and at the stacks of dishes and thought, I cooked my family dinner 3 nights in a row. Which I know we've all been there. Like on an understaffed level, if I can meal prep for an entire week, fucking cool. But also on an understaffed level, I don't meal prep for 3 weeks in a row because I have no time. Like, ugh. So then there's some other things, but it says that the secret to simplify your to-do list and to find creative workarounds that accommodate your limited time and energy. In this book, you'll learn exactly how to customize your cleaning strategy and rebuild your relationship with your home, to include how to see chores as kindnesses to your future self, not as a reflection of your worth, how to start setting priorities, how to stagger tasks so you won't procrastinate, how to clean in quick bursts within your existing daily routine, how to use creative shortcuts to transform a room from messy to functional. So with her help, your home will feel like a sanctuary again. It will become a place to rest even when things are left unfinished. So like, it's really cool. There's also a PDF that comes along with the audiobook purchase, and she references it several times. And it's pretty wonderful. So before I become more triggered, where do you want to start at in the book?
I think going over, like, talking about how her care tasks and her philosophy of how good you are at care tasks. Care tasks do not have moral value. So if you haven't showered in 3 days, you are not a bad person. And one thing that she talks about a lot is also giving grace for just because you know something doesn't mean you feel it. Like, you can tell me that a care task doesn't have a moral value, but it's going to take me a while to feel it and embody it more. And she also talks about, like, her own experiences. And there is one quote in the book where she says, searching for a role to fill that will make me worthy of kindness, love, and belonging. For all of us traumatized daughters out there that have customer service oriented jobs, how are you all feeling? Because I was like, first of all, you did not need to call me out like that.
There were a few times in this book that I was like, ma'am. I had to pause the book, that I was like, oh no. The fact that it's creating this kind of emotional response, I'm like, okay, this is either exactly what I needed to hear or it's exactly what I needed to hear. Damn it.
Yeah. And she also talks about, like, the shame cycle. So it's like shame fueled cycle of performance, perfectionism, and failure. And I'm like, first of all. And she said those two, like, really close together. And I was like, ugh. I did not need to see myself in this light. Thank you very much.
No.
Ugh.
One thing too that I really liked that she talked about, because so we've talked about this on previous episodes, that I'm like, I am 3 weeks behind in laundry. For her, when she was talking about her laundry pile up, she's like, can you afford for someone to come over and just do your laundry? Like, can you afford for someone to just come over and do it for you? And I'm sitting here thinking, could I pay somebody $25 an hour to just come and do my laundry? Probably. Just a couple hours? It wouldn't be that bad. Once or twice a month. Just so that I don't feel like so wildly overwhelmed. Yeah, I could probably do that. What she said she did is she hired a grad student to just come over and help her clean, like, once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, just so she was not so wildly overwhelmed with 2 kids. Because what did she say? Like her second kid was born, and then like not even 6 months later, COVID hit. So like her plan,
It was like a month later. COVID hit. Yeah.
But yeah, like her plan was that
Mhm.
she was going to take her 18-month-old and take them to daycare so that they could still utilize daycare. That way she would have time at home with the baby to provide proper care for both children and blah, 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 right? So she said that she hired, after COVID, she hired a grad school student to come and help her like once or 2 or 3 times a month. I don't remember what the duration was. But what she said is that she actually found herself after a month or 2, maybe 2 or 3 months, that she was actually like pre-cleaning before the student got there so that she felt that she could angle the grad student to do the things that she knew specifically she wasn't going to get done, or that she wasn't going to be able to work on or didn't have the mental capacity for. And then that way she knew that she could mentally take care of, these 3 things that she knows that's like a regular task for her that she knows she can complete, but I'm going to focus the grad student on this one particular thing. And then like for me, laundry is the bane of my existence. And so I'm like, wow, that's really great. What I really thought resonated was the fact that like you and I have had multiple conversations about your clothes chair and an extra basket for sweaters in the living room. And she brought it up. She was like, if you are a basket person and folding clothes and putting them away is just not fucking happening, put a basket in every single room. This is my sweater basket. This is I only wore this once, but it's still kind of clean basket, but I don't want to hang it back up. Whatever, like this is that basket. Then this is actual dirty laundry. Then this. And she's like, I don't give a shit if you use plastic bags. If you are a plastic bag person, hang them up on the wall. This plastic bag, this one, this one, this one. And I'm like, that's fucking genius. Why have I never done that?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and again, because just growing up, there is one way to be clean and be organized.
Yes. Or that you are disgusting if you are not fully organized and fully clean. That's one that's like,
yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Because she also goes into it later about having it's not a task to be done. It is a cycle, and you are always going to be in that cycle.
Yes.
Somewhere.
Or that it's you taking care of you. It's not you working for your home, it's your home working for you. So if you are, if laundry, like for me, because again, like all of this kind of like spoke to me, right? I've gotten into a really good habit with dishes, whereas like I used to just like putting dishes into the dishwasher and starting it was like it was worse than me doing my laundry, right? But she brings it up that she's like, who cares if there's still like, if you mentally are in a place that you're just not, it's just not happening for you, and putting away the dishes from the dishwasher is a huge task. Fuck it. Put dirty dishes in the dishwasher with the clean ones and just run it again. And I'm like, why is that so mind blowing? And why have I never thought about that before? Like, why?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah, I know. And she did it. She talked about that in multiple different examples. And another thing that she talked about that for me, it was one of the things for me that I was like, oh, like this is something that I need to work on. And she talks about you are worthy of kindness, even if you don't get any of those care tasks done. Even if you don't do the dishes, even if you don't make your bed, even if you don't do your laundry, you are still worthy of kindness and compassion. And that is something that I've always felt like, just being any relationship, romantic or not, people are like, well, oh, you didn't do this or whatever. And it's like negative. And you're like, oh man, yeah, I know. I'm just a piece of shit. I just can't do it. Like, I just can't.
Yeah.
And she was like, you can talk to yourself in a kind way, because even if you don't get up and do it, even if it doesn't work, shaming yourself wasn't working either.
Right. It's not
so you may as well just be nice to yourself.
She said that it's not the right level. It's not the right motivator. So like something that I am very, very guilty of is resting. That if I am actively resting, and whether that means actually napping, or if that means just laying on the bed, putting my phone down, watching a Netflix show, or just playing a game on my phone, nothing work related, nothing whatever. there have been many times in my adult life that when I am quote unquote actively resting, I feel like a piece of shit because there's other things that have to get done that still need to get done. And I'm very much that person that like, I love the work that I do and I'm really motivated by it. And especially my job right now, I love helping out the students. And it's really something that I like care about, that if one of those people texts me in the middle of the night and I happen to wake up, I'm going to respond and be like, hey, so X, Y, and Z, here's the info you need. Or, which I have gotten better, but like I have the boundaries of like, I set my phone on do not disturb after 9 p.m. because it doesn't matter. We have students all over the world that will send me a message and be like, hey, can you send me a copy of this whenever you get to work? Like they don't give a shit about what time it is in my time zone. So I have gotten better at that moment. But when it comes to rest and having that, like that thought process of like, oh, well, you're a piece of shit if you're going to nap for 3 hours. And it's like, I'm actually fucking not, because you are fueling your body with good fuel in order to function for the rest of the day. It's the same thing with, and Erika and I are both 1,000% guilty of this, but it is the same thing with just having an iced coffee for breakfast or having another one after lunch because we're just too fucking busy to have actual food in our system.
Yeah.
Like I said, this book was very triggering, but it's literally everything that I needed to listen to this week. So yeah, resting is one of those things that you can't feel bad for doing because it's a self-care moment. You are giving yourself that rest time so that you can function later. And that's been...
Yeah, she talks about it as rest is a care task.
Mm-hmm.
It is not you have to think about it like you're doing the dishes or you're taking a shower. Like you need that.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I really, really struggle with starting tasks. I have that is one way that my ADHD really manifests. And if I had a struggle, it's that. And one of the things she talks about is like when you have a messy house, you're always moving, you feel anxious and overwhelmed, and you're constantly exhausted. Or you lack motivation, you're paralyzed and overwhelmed, and you're constantly exhausted. And I was just talking to one of my friends about this, like because people all the time, they're like, I'm like, oh, I'm so tired. Like my coworkers are like, don't you have like 87 hobbies? It's like, yes, but I don't think for me, I associate stopping because there's no in the middle of those two things for me. I am one or the other. So being bored is legitimately scary to me because if I can't be absolutely sure that my brain is full of things and I'm doing something, and like if I'm just doing the dishes, I'm like, I'm going to be bored when I'm doing the dishes and I can't do it, because then it's like I go from always moving, feeling anxious, overwhelmed, to lack of motivation, being paralyzed, and there's no in the middle for me. Yeah. And her being like, you have to practice resting so that you can give yourself that middle ground. And I'm like,
which I'm not good at it.
No.
When she had a whole chapter, I think, on just like naps and active resting, that I'm like, no, I will say, giving myself grace, because we talk about this a lot. I have come to accept the fact that I need naps and I enjoy the shit out of a good nap. But like I do this a lot where I'll come home from work and I'm so exhausted, just like mentally I'm checked out, and I will sleep for 6 hours. So then I'm awake all fucking night, right? Like, this is not okay. That doesn't help my regular trying to sleep on a regular basis schedule. So like there's, it's so weird because it's like mid-30s. I'm still learning how to self-care. Like, and again, we literally just talked about this last week. We were always under the assumption that growing up, that in our 30s, we would have it figured out, that it would be working well, that we would be stable mentally and financially and physically and all of the things. That's not fucking true. It's not fucking factual. So like, my thing is I want to be content in my day to day. I want to be stable. I want to be ready to go every day. But like, when does that happen? is there a threshold? Is there like certain life experiences that I have to have in order to like, or is it just like a me thing? Am I the problem? Am I the, what the fuck? So one thing, and I know I keep bringing up laundry, but it's resonating with me like a champ. It's very relatable. Is
Yes.
the family laundry space. Where the hell I pulled? There's a PDF. There it is. Family closet. I pulled the PDF. So for those of you that download the audiobook, there is a PDF appendix that comes with it. And the family closet one is one that really resonated with me. So for her, she was talking about how she has 2 kids. I think when her second child was born, the other one was like 18 months or so. So she said at one point she like woke up and like her eyes opened and she was like, why am I folding 1-month-old onesies? Why? She's like, I'm gonna have to change this 5 times before lunch because kid's gonna spit up on herself, or I'm gonna spill food. The dog's gonna drool on her, whatever. Why am I folding onesies, right? So then she said that like laundry is also the bane of her existence, being the stay-at-home parent during COVID, and her husband was always working, and then having 18-month, almost 2-month-old kid, or 24 months. Jesus Christ. I clearly don't have kids. But, so she said, basically she made her laundry room the family closet, that she will throw all of the clean clothes on the floor because she, at least in there, keeps the floor clean. She will throw it all on the floor and then she sits down, and in the span of 30 minutes, she has folded / put away / just put in a basket her entire family's laundry, and she didn't have to move from the floor. And I was like, why have I never thought of this? Now I will, again, giving myself grace I have a forever home that I want to build. So I've been working on the design for a few years that I'm like, all right, I really want these things. I don't want these things. Like there's different designs and stuff that I've come into contact with. And one thing is that in whatever closet it is where the washer and dryer will live. So like instead of having a laundry room and a closet, it's going to be together. So that really, this chapter of this book really resonated with me because I was like, that's my future. But it doesn't have to be a future thing. I can do that right now to a certain extent. The washer and dryer in my house is like kitty corner from my bedroom, right? So what stops me from just adjusting what I'm doing right now, where laundry is the bane of my existence, to being a little more feasible of a care task for me to handle? And then, and I'm sorry, I will shut up after this. One of the last things that I'll mention is that for her, she said when laundry really gets to her, she's trying to reframe her mind into like a more positive mindset. And she says that, she's got piles and piles or baskets and baskets of laundry. And she's like, I just have to be grateful that at least I have a really full closet and I haven't completely run out of clothes yet. And it's 3 weeks behind. And I'm like, I have plenty of clothing. Don't get me wrong. I have plenty of clothing. But the fact that like I can wait roughly 2, maybe 3 weeks before I absolutely have to do laundry. I used to never have clothes like that. And I'm like, I can 1000% be grateful for that, because at least I have it. Because if I didn't and I was doing laundry minimum once a week, that's a totally different mindset, because you have to do it once a week because you have no more clothes. Like, why? Like it opened my eyes. And then I'm like, this book is a 3-hour listen at 1.5 speed, if that. And I was triggered. I listened to it 2 different times this week, waiting to record, because I was like, this is bullshit. Why? Why?
Yeah. No, and the whole, like, for me, it was really validating because I've known for a little while that, like, and this is after years of being in romantic relationships or being at home and talking to caregivers or whatever, being like, why can't you just do this? And I'm like, I can't.
It's not possible.
And when she was like, if she's like, if I had $1 for every time somebody said, just clean as you go, because that is something that people have said to me. I'm like, I can't do that. I can't do that. And she was like, to all those people that I think this is mostly a quote because it's from memory. She's like, to the people that can just sail through a room, picking up things like some kind of wizard. And I was like, I cannot tell you how validated that made me feel. Like I was legitimately tearing up because I can't tell you how many times I've been so frustrated with, and not just cleaning, with a lot of things where people are like, why can't you just do it? Like, why can't you just do it? And part of it is task initiation for me. And part of it is like she also talks about like tasks that are boring, like how debilitating being bored is for me. And at the time, I didn't know that that's what it was, or I wasn't really able to articulate it because I didn't really understand it. But having another person be like, no, this is real. Like, I feel this too. And you are not a bad person because you're like this. Again, this book is incredibly triggering.
Excuse me.
Yeah. I was like, ooh.
The number of times that
it was
happened, just listening to this book, that I was like jaw dropping, like, what, you know, and I haven't done enough like research on the whole neurodivergent type of thing. And I do relate to a lot of like the social media posts and stuff that I read, but it just makes me wonder, like, do I need to get tested for something? Do I what do I need to do to put a name on it? Because we've talked about it. Like, I'm undiagnosed as far as like ADD or ADHD, but I think it's a solid possibility. And I'm not a doctor. We all know this, but like, I am a WebMD aficionado, and clearly I have ADD. So like, it's baffling that like there's material out there, because it's also slightly comforting too that like the fact that I felt validated, that I felt understood listening to this, that I'm like, wow, there's still research to be done on such topics and such, diagnoses, but it's out there and someone's doing it, someone's working on it. So for me, I'm like, oh my God, so there's hope for the weird brain that I carry around on my shoulders every day. Cool. Like,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And it's not just people who think that way, who are like, well, this is the way it's supposed to be done. Like, realizing that there are different, like the way you were talking about it, like baskets. Like, it took me a long time to figure out that's what I needed to do. And when I got my clothes chair, my room is a lot cleaner because I put all my clothes on the clothes chair instead of on the floor. Or my sweater basket. My sweaters are not all over the house. They're in the sweater basket. Like, but it took like the laundry thing where she was talking about the laundry, or the like, just run it again. Like,
yeah,
when she first said it, I just felt so like, oh, because I've had people like legitimately say to me, like, why can't you just unload it? Or like, why can't you just do it this way?
Same.
Like, just unload it. It's not a big deal, or like whatever. And it's like,
it's also
why? And then
Go ahead.
And that adds to the like the morality of it, of like, you like, because you can't do this or you aren't doing it, somehow you are less deserving
You're the shit
of compassion, or you're lazy or whatever. Yeah. And the way she also talks about it, she's like, if you're lazy, it has nothing to do with whether or not you deserve kindness. And struggling does not mean that you're lazy. And to me, that was one of those things where like, I knew that, but like,
soul
having somebody else
wrenching.
say it.
Yes.
Like, it was, and then talking about like the little self, like I just remember like little baby Erika, like trying to figure out like how her brain works, and just everyone around me being like, why can't you just do it? Me being like, I don't know, but I'm doing my best.
Yes.
And then her being like, actually, it's fine.
Yes.
It's actually not only like, it doesn't actually matter. And they're just assholes.
What I loved is when she brought up the fact that she's like, I've implemented so many of these things, and okay, in my brain also, that I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to try that. Oh my God, I'm going to try that. Oh my God, I'm going to try that. That I was overwhelmed by the amount of things that I was going to change in my routine. I'm like, okay, calm down. Like, I appreciate it too. But what she said is that over the years, right? Because it's been like 5 years since COVID. over the years, so 6 years going on, 5 years, whatever. But over the years, since COVID, these little changes that she's been making to her lifestyle to make her house work for her versus that I working for my house, her putting these little changes into her routine has actually shown her that, you know, she's never going to have a clean countertop. Like, I'm very guilty of this. I have like little piles, and my husband used to get super upset about, like, not super upset, but he would make comments like, "Oh, there's another pile this week." Like, I know, but it doesn't have a place, right? And so one thing that I, again, really loved about this book is that she said that, sorry, I wrote it down. There are actually only 5 things in every single room. There's only 5 things. First one is trash. Or excuse me. No. Yes. The first one is trash.
Yeah.
The second is dishes. The third is laundry. The fourth is things that have a place but are not in its place. And the fifth is just things that do not have a place. And I was like, it's not even the most profound thing, but I was like, what? And I'm thinking about it in my head, like, okay, bedroom, bathroom, living room, workout room. What are we looking at, right? Laundry room even. And I'm like, oh my God, that's why I have piles, right? Like, they're in my head. I know exactly what's in that pile. Like, I can see them on my desk right now. There's 3 on my thing. One of them is the forever business that I do that I don't like have a place for, but it stays there because I remember that it's there, right? The other one is like tax documents and things that I need to file and things that I need to scan in, things that I need to prepare for when I have my tax appointment in a couple months. And I don't have a place for that. I should, but I don't. It's just in a pile on my desk because that's where it belongs. The other one is just like random, like junk mail and shit that I need to go through, things that I need to shred, things that are like from a box that I unpacked from my old house. Like, I have piles, you know? But like, it used to drive my ex-husband crazy that he's like, there's another pile this week. And I'm like, just leave it alone. Like, it's not bothering. It's not affecting you physically. It's not doing anything, but it's just bothering you for some reason. Like, it's not a big deal, you know? But the fact that she gave you those 5 things, that there's 5 things in every room, I was like, oh my God. So her first suggestion was to take all of the things that don't have a place. Just take all of those things, put it in a pile, and set it somewhere. On your bed, on the nightstand, on something, set it on the floor. Just take all those things that don't have a place and set it down. The other key suggestion that I absolutely needed, and I sort of implement it, is setting a timer. Like, Sarah, you're just going to do 15 minutes. And 10 times out of 10, not 100% of the time, but like 99.9% of the time, that if I set a 15-minute timer, I end up cleaning for an hour. It every time, because I'm like, as soon as I start accomplishing something, I'm like, oh, okay, all right, let me get this done. Let me get this done. Let me get this done. And then when it's done, I'm like, holy shit, I just like deep cleaned my room for an hour. I didn't mean to do that, but that's how the cookie crumbled. Cool. But that was her thing, is like, even though, like, even right now, my room is wildly overwhelming because I'm prepping for DC and this week has been insane. I'm saying those things to myself. Like, I know that I was fucking busy this week and I still come home and I'm like, the only kindness that I did for myself was make my bed, because I do that every day. I like having my bed made so that I have the feeling of like pulling back the blanket and the sheet to just like crawl in. Like, that's my favorite thing to do at night. So the kindness that I do for myself every day is just that. Everything else, I'm like, oh God, I'm so disgusting. I'm just gross. There's a pile here. There's a pile there. There's a random shoe. No clue where the match is. I'm hoping that episodes like this allow people to like feel like they're also being heard and understood, because this book was wildly triggering. But I am the person, because I'm single, I am the person that one corner of my bed is just stuff. And then I sleep around it. Like, it's on top of the blanket.
Okay.
I still make my bed around it and like sleep around it. Like, I still have more than half the bed to myself, but there's stuff on the bed that I sleep around. Sometimes it's laundry. Sometimes it's purses. Right now, it's still the care package that Erika sent me 3 months ago that's sitting there. And like,
Yeah. Also, I will say, going back to your point earlier about your piles, I also have piles. And that is a pretty quintessential cornerstone of having ADHD. My favorite term that I've heard for them is doom piles. And it is something that I do the same thing. I have a pile and I know exactly what's in that pile. But one thing that I started doing is Walmart. Periodically, they have the like decorative little bins that are like, you can see my hands. This makes sense to you. And I have one on my counter. And I have one on there's like a little table thing right next to the front door. And so all of those little things, because in order for me to clean up, I have to have somewhere to put the things that don't have a place or I won't do it. And like,
Yes.
here's a pencil. If I have to go out into the garage and put the pencil in my like box of office supplies, I'm gonna stop.
Yep.
Yep.
Because
or
that's the thing is I'll do it eventually, but in this moment to keep up my what do you call it? Like my
motivation.
No, not just motivation, but like the momentum, to keep up the momentum of the cleaning that I'm currently doing. If it's just the one room that I'm focusing on, if I leave that room to go put the pencil in the supply box or whatever in the garage, I'll stop what I'm doing. But to keep the momentum going, I need that tray, that basket, that box, whatever, of the rando shit that eventually I will put away. But then it sort of, if you call it a doom, or if they call it a doom pile, cool. But in like me growing up, our family always had a junk drawer. We used to call it the Midwest junk drawer. Always.
Yes.
Always a junk drawer.
Me too.
So now,
always had a junk drawer.
Living in a house with a roommate, I have, hold on. I have a junk bag. It's from my birthday in May because I'm sharing a house with a family. So I'm not I'm not too worried about it. I don't necessarily need a junk drawer, but all of this stuff doesn't have a place. It just doesn't. And so when I am cleaning and I am quote unquote deep cleaning or whatever, the stuff that doesn't have a place goes in this bag. And I know everything that's in here, including candles and notebooks and pens and snacks.
Yeah. And you know exactly where it is. You're like, I know this candle, winter cashmere or whatever the scent is in the bottom left corner.
Correct.
Turned on its side.
We've talked about this in a previous episode where you were doing like some updates to your bathroom. And you, just like me, if I can't physically see it, then it doesn't exist. And so I do it all the time where like, say I run out of body wash and I'm like, all right, next time I'm at the store, I'm going to get some body wash. But then I'll go through and I'll unpack another box or some random like tote or whatever because I'm like doing it gradually so that I don't get overwhelmed. Weird. And then I'll find like 5 bottles of body wash because at one point I was just like, oh, it's on clearance. Let me just grab that. Oh, that's $5. Okay, let me just grab that. And it's like, I have 17 bottles of body wash, Sarah. You didn't have to buy another one yesterday. What the fuck? So you like, it's little things like that too that I know I've downsized a ton of my stuff, but I'm still like slowly unpacking boxes and totes. And I'm like, God, it's almost like Christmas. Every month that I unpack another boxes, I'm like, oh my God, I forgot I had this. Because out of sight, out of mind. Like it doesn't exist if it's not like out in the open. So
yeah.
God.
So for me, part of it is like, why? And I sort of came to this probably within the last 6 months or so. There are things that just live on the counter. It's fine that my KitchenAid is always on the counter.
Correct.
I don't want to have to pick it up every single time I have to use. I just don't.
Yep.
Same with like lawn furniture. I want my lawn chairs to be in my backyard. I don't want to move them back and forth. I just want them to be out there. Or most recently, the house that we're currently in does not have a junk drawer. Like having a junk drawer is important for me to just like put those things in so that I just have a place to put things.
Yeah.
And having things where I can see them and having things that are easily accessible, because if, again, I will forget that they exist or like and then having someone A, validate those things and B, be like, why don't you try it this way? This is another way to do that. like when she was talking about the dirty dish rack, my mind was blown. I was like, that it solves all my problems because there's nothing in the sink. The dishes are where I can see them.
Yes.
And then I can put them in the dishwasher and load it and run it. And there we go.
Yeah. The silverware basket or whatever, I thought that was fucking brilliant.
Mhm.
She bought an additional silverware basket for her dishwasher, and all of the dirty silverware went into the basket so that when she unloaded the clean one, she just picked up the dirty one, put it in the dishwasher, and that's it. And I was like, I will, to give myself credit, me and dishes, my relationship with dishes has drastically changed in the last couple of years, which is perfectly fine. I'm perfectly happy with that. But the other one that I would say really like stuck out to me is the whole like mental self-care, where if someone is in your house, I will give credit to my friend group and the people that are like in my circle, because all of them don't give a shit if my house is dirty. They don't give a shit, even though I'm self-conscious about it. And I apologize anytime any of them come over. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, my house is a mess. Oh my God, especially when she talked about how dirty her car is, that she literally can't clean her car. I was like, bitch, I live in my car. Like, I don't, but I live out of my car and I spend so much time driving that like my car is a fucking pigsty and I'm overwhelmed that I'll get into a routine that I will clean my, I used to say whenever I got paid every 2 weeks, I'm going to take $5 or $6 of quarters. I'm going to go to the car wash and I'm going to vacuum out my car because I had dogs at the time too. So I was like, I'm going to vacuum my car every 2 weeks, minimum. Like every 2 weeks, I'm going to vacuum. Because otherwise, when it becomes a huge project, then I deep clean the shit out of it. And I spend an entire day just cleaning my car. I don't want to do that. I'd want it to be a maintenance type of thing. So when she was talking about the self-talk and like how you're respecting yourself and trying to give yourself some grace, she said, if you ever come into contact with someone who makes a negative comment about like, oh, you don't just switch your laundry from the washer to the dryer right away. And the most beautiful response of all time that I'm very like, oh my God, is I say, or she said that you would say to that person, that's the way that I used to talk to myself. But now that I have more self-respect, I'm being more kind to myself and I don't accept comments in that manner. And I was like,
yes.
Delicious. Ma'am. Another one of those like jaw-dropping moments that I was like, why have I never thought about that, And then because I'm in my, hating era of people right now, I just think about my mother, who she would make all of those comments and it wouldn't make a difference if I had that clap back that I was like, oh, I'm in the era of self-respect and like, that's not what we're doing. She would still have something to say about it. So I'm like, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, there were just so many things that this was such a good book for how short it was.
Yes.
And how she talks about it's not all or nothing. Because that's something that I think the dishes are done or they're not. Your bed is made or it's not. Your laundry is done or it's not. And that's not true.
No.
She's like, okay, these are priorities and prioritize them this way versus whether or not it makes you feel like a good person or not. Or
yes. Oh, what was
instead of saying, I'm going to,
she said, throw away the plastic balls.
Yes.
Yeah. So you categorize the things in your life based on glass balls or plastic balls, and say the example that she gave was recycling. That, if you're looking at tasks like recycling, or you're looking at putting gas in your car to go to work every day, and you have to sort your recycling, or you also want to make sure that you go get gas because you have to be at work tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. So she said that if you prioritize it in a manner of like, well, recycling and sorting your recycling is a plastic ball, but putting gas in your car so that you can go to work every day is a glass ball. If you throw your balls into the middle of a room, which one's going to break? Right? Obviously the glass one. So you go do the glass ball priorities first. And then if you have time for the plastic ones, okay, fine. But if you don't, it's also okay if you just put all of your recycling into the bin and then you get yelled at. It's not a huge deal. it's recycling, you know? There is, I would recommend this book to everyone. I've already sent it to my sister. I've already sent it to my friend, Nina. I have one beef, an actual beef with this book, not just the sarcastic, like, I'm triggered beef. If you're trying to sort your life out, you're trying to downsize, you're buying new things so you have other things that are outdated or whatever. What she talks about is that box or boxes or bin of donations that you just can't get to the store to donate them, just throw it away. And I do not agree. And I'm being vulnerable here. That's coming from the person who has 3 boxes of donations that have been in my car for like 3 or 4 months at this point. And it's, for me, someone else could use those items and gain joy from it, regardless of if it's a DVD or if it's a bra that's still kind of new and has tags on it. Like, someone else can get joy from that at a cheaper amount, and living in today's world is so fucking expensive. And so I have a giant box of DVDs that I plan to donate. I'm not throwing those away. And I can't say that that's like maybe it's me being selfish, but like, it doesn't matter if it's just sitting in my car, because that's all that it is. It's just sitting in my car. Like, it's not destroying my sense of self. It's not anything. In my head, I will get to the donation center eventually. But like, it doesn't, but if you have 2 kids in the backseat and you've got groceries every week and you have no room for that, then of course, like, you do you, boo. But like, for me, I kind of had a beef with that. And I understand her saying, you're trying to take care of you and your house and your family. So if you just cannot get to that donation center, then what I'm going to say is, like, I'm going to call my friend and be like, can you drop this off for me? Please, I don't have the mental capacity to fucking physically do it. Can I ask a kindness of you to do it for me? So that was the only beef that I had with this book, is that she was sort of advocating for throw it out. It's okay. And it is okay. It is okay. But on a personal level, I'm like, absolutely not. No.
I don't feel that way. And the reason why is because I'm also that person where I'll have it in the back of my car and I will throw it away eventually. And I do, because I will get to it. I have a sense of accomplishment when I do finally do it. And I feel a lot better about myself when I do throw it or give it to versus just throwing it away.
Yes.
But there have been times in my life where I am struggling so much, and every single time I open my car, I like dread opening my car door because I know I'm going to look and see. It's another place where I can see more things that I haven't done. And if that's the type of relationship you have with it, then I absolutely advocate for throwing it away. But at the same time, again, like you said, if it's just in the back of your car, like, whatever. Because I mean, aside from that, like, and we are talking about, like, she did talk about privilege a little bit in there, but also, Waynesville, shit, do you want, I don't know if you want me
I've
to
said
talk
it
about,
before.
like,
I don't care.
What city you live in. Okay. There's a DB shelter there. Like, those are places that legitimately could use those things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a small enough community. You can't just go to Target. You can't just go, like, it is a place where legitimately thrift stores are more important to the community as a whole versus somewhere like where I live, where it's a bigger city. You can go to Target, Walmart, wherever, and it's not as big of a deal. That's not to say you still shouldn't, because it is much better for the planet and all that stuff. But I get where you're coming from, because it does make a really big difference to people.
It does.
Also, being a foster parent, having all those lending closets, because you get a child and they have nothing.
Yes.
And you have to get all of those clothes. And I am not going to spend $500 on a whole new wardrobe for a kid that's only going to wear it for like 3 months.
If that.
And then you have to do it all over again. Yeah. So that one is complicated. However, I do that with Tupperware. If I'm
God.
in the fridge, I'm like, ew, that's gross. I will throw it away.
Yep.
I used to be like, I can't tell you how many sets of like glass Tupperware I bought because I'm like, if it's nice, I'll take care of it. No, I won't. It's still gonna mold. I buy the cheapest Tupperware ever, because then when if I leave it in the fridge too long and I just chuck it, I don't feel bad.
Yep.
And
Yep.
Because I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm done feeling like a piece of shit because I don't ever eat all my leftovers. And when I meal prep, sometimes I come home and I don't want that for dinner, or I don't want that for lunch. Or someone was like, hey, let's go out to lunch. And I'm like, sure. And then I forget it in the work fridge. And then I'm like, I don't want this 2-week-old enchilada.
Yes.
Like, I'm just going to throw it away. So that was just my hot take. Really. There was no reason for that.
No. And it's funny that you say that, because there are certain things like Tupperware that I'm like, okay, I'm over it. You know, like this food has been in here for 2 weeks and I just can't. There's also that olfactory like sense where if I open that Tupperware and it has a new ecosystem growing inside of it, I'm going to hate myself for not eating leftovers like was the plan for my budget and all that. Like there are things that I like actually get down on myself about. So then for me on a brain dump level, I'll just throw it out. Like all right, Tupperware is cheap. Cool. So like maybe that makes me a hypocrite, but like like there's certain aspects that I 1000% agree with in this book. And then, you know, there's other things that I'm like, which I think is any book, any kind of self-help, any kind of anything.
Yeah.
But this book, guys, like I cannot recommend it enough. Like it really spoke to me. So any of our understaffed people that are out there, that if any of our episodes have resonated with you or you felt was relatable, this book is also absolutely for you.
100%. Yeah. Because it's like, it doesn't give you a new system. It's not like, do it this way, or
Right.
if you do this, it'll solve all your problems. It's like, this is how you prioritize your tasks, which that is something that I wish I had learned when I was younger.
Mhm.
Like, this is how you prioritize them based on how easy it is for you to do it and how important it is to you. So first you do the safety and like shelter stuff. Like, are my bills paid? Taking a shower, making sure I eat, all of that stuff.
Yep.
Because some people don't have that problem. Sarah and I, like, this is an example. Thursday night, I didn't eat anything because I was really busy. Had not actually eaten that day except for 2 iced coffees. And I roll up to dance with a Reese's peanut butter cup and a Red Bull at like 8 o'clock at night, because that
Mm-hmm.
sometimes that's all I can do. And is the wrapper and the empty Red Bull can still in my car?
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
Cleaning out my car is not high on the priority list for me.
Not at all.
Like,
Not
the
at
amount
all.
of Chick-fil-A straws in there. Insane.
My thing too is, even as a kid, if prioritizing became a little more prevalent in like the teaching era of growing up, which I am fully in agreement that we are still growing up, and these are supposed to be the years that we had it all together. Lies. But in that time frame of living with our parents and being taught life things, another thing that I wish would have been more prevalent was time management versus I want you to get X, Y, and Z done. But maybe it's like the anxiety part of me. And I will say, I worked for an attorney when we lived in Missouri the first time. And one thing that she did, because it's billable hours when you work at a law firm, one thing that she did was like once, maybe a quarter, maybe once every 6 months, is for a week, you had to write down everything you did for each 5-minute period at work. And let me tell you how overwhelming that was the first time that she did it. Because I was like, And I was, I think when I first started there, I was a secretary and then got promoted to legal assistant. And like, as a secretary, if you're on the phone all day and you're filing documents and you're, you know, filling out paperwork or you're doing intake with new clients or whatever, your 5-minute increment has 10 things in it. And I'm like, and now, you know, 15 years later with a pretty high level administrative job, my 5 minutes has 25 things in it. And so what I'm grateful for is that the way that she broke it down is you would have a one-on-one meeting with her and she would say, okay, this is taking you too long. We either need to train you or we need to cut down your process. So she would ask those questions like, what are you doing in order to get this task done? What is happening that it's taking you so long? And of course there would be like, oh, I forgot I took this phone call from Mr. So-and-so and I had to put notes in the system that I had a phone call with him. You know, that was 5 minutes of time. So, you know, there's always those little things, but I actually am pretty appreciative of the way that she did that, even though she herself is a horrible person. I actually kind of utilize that in my work today, like with tracking all of the things that I do, because like I said, in government work, you have to somehow quantify what you do in your job every day. And in an admin position, it's kind of hard to do that. Like for me to be like, oh yeah, I scan in all of the student folders in a year. But what does that mean? That means over 5,000 documents are read, scanned, reviewed, read through again, scanned again, paper filing, e-filing, also adding to the administrative system. Like, yeah. So I will say that like being taught as a kid saying, oh, our house has to be clean because I want it to be clean. Okay, great. But if we had been taught a little more time management or a little more prioritization, I think my life would be drastically different right now if that was more of the teaching style, you know?
Yeah. And also, like, for me, I carried a lot of shame around not being able to do it the right way or not keeping my house clean. Like I just can't do it. Or it took me a really long time. And it was sort of like, well, why? I don't like the effort. I couldn't really articulate how much effort it took for me. And also when somebody is already like, you know, sort of looking down on you for how you do things, you don't really want to explain, or at least that's how I've always felt about it. Like,
yes,
I am already one of those people where if I give you the tiniest bit of vulnerability and you don't respond the way that I want, I am never going to be vulnerable with you ever again.
Yeah. Yeah. And we had that whole conversation today before recording that like pieces of that comes down to trust. And so if we don't fully trust the person that we are communicating with, that we're interacting with, the person that we work with, if we don't trust them to whatever capacity that is, if it's a coworker, you have a certain level of trust. And if that trust is broken or if it's damaged in some way, you don't have the same working relationship with them. And that also comes to relationships. That also comes to like your parents. It comes to your siblings, your cousins, your aunts and uncles. Like it's the same type of thing. Even like, so yeah, if you're feeling put down or you feel somehow like negatively affected by that, it makes a difference in your communication style with people and the way that you do things in your everyday.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. The only thing I wanted to bring up is how at the end where she was like, the best way to do something
is to go through it.
We talked about it like it. Actually, I don't. Yeah, it's just to you don't have to finish it. It's actually okay if you don't complete the task.
Thank you. Okay,
you can start it and not finish it. And that's okay.
Okay,
and that is something that I also being a perfectionist fueled by shame, like she so rudely called me out for in the beginning of the book. Rudely. If I don't finish something, I'm a piece of shit. Like that is just my internal, like if you start something, you have to finish it. And if you aren't sure you're going to finish it, then don't even start. And that's probably, you know, feeds into a lot of other things that I struggle with. But the amount of times in this book where she was like, the best way to do something is the way it gets done. So if you have to do it in a way that is not very efficient to make it enjoyable so that you'll do it, or if you have to, instead of doing the dishes, you can only manage to do 4 dishes, that's okay. That's all okay, as like, and even if you're struggling so much you can't do it, that's also okay.
Yes.
None of those things make you more or less worthy of kindness and compassion. It does not matter.
Yep.
And that was like,
Hmm.
oh,
Yeah.
I'm very uncomfortable right now.
There's-
I feel very seen and exposed. No
it's
thanks.
it's so funny because as humans, we're like looking for human interaction and we're looking to be seen. But when somebody sees me, I'm like, whoa, unacceptable.
Yeah.
This is too much.
Yeah.
We
Mhm.
that is with my ex-husband, the whole like trying something new or starting new projects. He used to it was sarcasm, but it was dripping with disdain, where I would be like, oh my God, we should try this next time. Or we should, instead of us doing this, we
Mhm.
should try this. So he used to make fun of me with the we should try, or hey, what if we did ... sentence. And it used to be funny. Like it used to be one of those things that I was like, oh, whatever, ha ha ha. But then when he started using it against me, I was like, first of all, rude. But second of all, so?
Yeah.
Like what? And my thing too is that
Yeah.
as an adult, I want to be learning. I don't want to just get to a point where I'm like, oh, okay, everything's fine now. We're good. I don't need to learn anything. I don't need to do
No.
anything different. I want to learn. I want to do better. I want to be a better human. And so this book just gave me ideas on like what I could do to improve my lifestyle, to improve my mental capacity on like cleaning my space or being in a functional home that works for me instead of me working for my home. This book was literally everything that I needed to hear this week. So huge fan.
Mhm. Yes, and I'm going to listen to it. This is going to be one of those books that I probably listen to once a year just to remind myself
Yes.
that it's okay. Everything's fine. I'm doing my best. Again, when your best just isn't very good, it's okay. It's okay.
Yep. Which like y'all,
You want to stop there?
this is literally why we started this podcast. Like this
Mhm.
being understaffed and having my piles and being overwhelmed by laundry, being overwhelmed by all of the things and all of the hobbies. It's literally why Erika and I were like, oh God, it's like we ourselves are understaffed. We're living understaffed. And we were both like, we should start a podcast about it. Like,
Yes. Let's add another thing to our incredibly
Yes.
stressful lives.
Are you saying to add one more project to our plate? Okay.
Yeah. Is it self-inflicted sometimes? Yes.
Yes.
But again, our chronic fear of boredom doesn't help either.
Yeah.
And also, I don't want to, like, there was a period of my life where I really wanted stability.
Not anymore though.
But now, yeah, but even then, like, I still wanted to like learn and grow. At this point, I'm like, what, like you said, like, what is the point of being like, oh, I'm done? Like, no, there's so many things.
There's so many things.
There's so many.
And I'm spoiled in the fact that I have an incredible job. And so I'm literally learning new things about different parts of the world every week, like new factoids, new little things. So like, for example, we just got a new student from Sri Lanka. And of course, because I'm speaking about Sri Lanka out loud, the Facebook gods have started showing me more reels on like history and ancient civilization in Sri Lanka. And I'm a huge fan of ancient civilization and like research and all of that. So it showed this incredible formation in Sri Lanka. And there was like a 7-minute video on it. And so I'm like listening to it and watching it while I'm getting ready for work the other day. I copy the link, I send it to the student. And then when we get to work that day, he starts word vomiting to me about how he's been there. And I'm asking questions and all those things. You have like, I shouldn't say you have to, but having that like love of life and love of learning is something that I'm very, very, very grateful for. And if you're getting to a point that you're plateauing and you're just super satisfied with where your life is, I'm happy for you because I don't think I've ever felt that. But if that's all that there is, then what are we living for? Like what exactly
Yeah.
is it that, like, what are we supposed to be doing with our lives? You know? So
Yeah.
I'm getting a little philosophical there, but
Yes. But yeah, no, I'm the same way. I need something to do and something to learn and like, or why?
yeah,
But yeah.
somehow mentally stimulated somehow. And then, you know, then
Yes.
our neurodivergence shows us that if we get overstimulated, we just shut down. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said before, like constantly switching between the two, like paralyzed or always moving.
Yeah. Yeah, there is no just chill. Chill mode inactivated.
What do you mean?
It doesn't even exist.
Overwhelmed or underwhelmed. There's no such thing as just whelmed.
Yeah.
And that's how I live my life.
I think I've seen that meme before, but that's fucking hilarious. Yes. Oh my god.
It's true.
Yeah. Well,
all right.
Yeah,
I'm going to go into the outro now. Okay. Thank you everyone for this wild ride you went on with us. Please read this book. Sarah mentioned it in the beginning, but it's How to Keep House While You're Drowning by Casey Davis. It's like, I listen to it. I always listen to everything on at least 1.25 speed. I think if you listen to it on like regular speed, it's like 3.5 hours or something. It's really quick, but it's really informative and there's no boring over explanation. It is chef's kiss of an audiobook. Also though, everyone remember that we have merch. Holidays are coming up. Everyone loves presents. So why not get them something with us on it? Because we are lovely human beings and also hilarious. I'm just saying. Always remember, like and subscribe. Send this to somebody that you think would like it. We love you. Without you, we would be potting into the void.